Going to fix a short cycling freshwater pump? What could go wrong? I'm planning on taking Silver Heels, my Pearson catch, on a 330-mile trip north on Lake Michigan less than a month from now. So one thing I decided to address before the trip is how the freshwater pump under the galley sink was short cycling. During the troubleshooting and pump replacement process, I have learned a ton, which I'm going to share with you today. Stay until the end to find out the very simple fix that I failed to find without spending too much time and money on a pump replacement. First, what is short cycling? A pump short cycling is where a pump kicks on frequently and periodically for short bursts and then immediately goes off. The cycling happens over and over again, usually within the span of 15 to 60 seconds. Why does a pressurized freshwater pump short cycle? To answer that question, you might ask yourself, how water pressure is available on demand when I open a faucet? When a freshwater pump is installed and turned on, it draws water from an inlet source, your freshwater tanks, and delivers it to faucets to a predetermined level of pressure, at which point it turns off. The pump relies on a pressure switch to accomplish this, and the water in the system will be maintained to that level of pressure. Opening a faucet will draw water, which lowers the pressure in the system, so the pump turns on to restore the pressure back into the system. When the faucet is closed, the pump keeps delivering water until the expected level of pressure has been found. The switch gauge reads this and subsequently turns the pump back off. If you understand how and why the switch activates, you can surmise what might be causing a loss of water pressure and activating the switch. Here are some common causes of a pump switch activating periodically when the valves are shut off. A leak between the water supply and the pump. A problem within the pump. A leak between the pump and the faucet. I'll note right now that when I started this troubleshooting, I did not think about the problem like I should have. And with the context I just provided you, if I had that, I might have saved myself a lot of time, as you will see. I spent a small amount of time looking for leaks and I could find none. The pump is old with rust on the chassis. When I switched water sources using valves from the starboard water tank to the port water tank, I saw the same behavior in the pump, and the galley faucet wasn't leaking, so I just decided to replace the pump. Before we remove the old pump, I want to stress the importance of the following. Learn the basics around plumbing standards. Every trade out there has their own standards, codes, and equipment idiosyncrasies. Plumbing is no exception, and it actually typifies the rule. When finding fittings to connect hoses to valves or valves to pumps or strainers to pumps, you'll have to pay attention to: are the connections threaded, quick connect or push fittings, collar joints or flange joints? What is the standard of the threads if they're threaded? NPT, FIP, BSP, NPSM, and the number of threads per inch. Be aware that 1/2 inch NPT fittings are not actually 1/2 inch diameter on either the inside or the outside. The type of fitting available, such as elbow adapters, couplings, bushings, nipples, and valves. The material you'll want to use, such as PVC, plastic, stainless steel, iron, aluminum, or copper. Here's what I did. First, I carved out an hour to remove the old pump. I went to my boat after work, turned off the valves, and methodically disconnected the pump from the hoses. Then I pulled out the screws on the base, which were mounting the pump to the floor. Note that when disconnecting isolated hoses, remnant water will likely have to spill out. It's best to have a small bucket or container, some rags or dishcloths to deal with the water spillage. After pulling the pump, taking it home, I did some research on whether the pump manufacturer still produces the pump or whether I would need to find a suitable replacement. I did need to find a suitable replacement. I probably went overkill on finding a pump with exactly the same connections as the old pump, which were NPSM threads. In hindsight, I probably should have just gone with a pump with NPT threads, as this seems to be the standard and makes more sense for water type connections as the nipples are tapered. The pump I chose was a SureFlow Aqua King 2 4 gallon per minute, 12 volt, 55 PSI freshwater pump. SureFlow has been around for a long time and is the original manufacturer of the original pump that I just pulled out. The pump was going to arrive for the weekend when I would have time to install it. The time came to install the new pump. I started connecting the old fittings to the new pump and everything was connecting properly. It was really going smoothly. I started with the electrical connections first, then I connected everything on the inlet side of the pump nice and tight. Then I connected everything on the outlet side when this happened. Well guys, I just had an epic failure. That is rough. It's rough to do that. But I just basically snapped this connection off of the pump. The arm on the pump actually snapped right off as I over tightened. Is the bottom line, and I screwed up the pump. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I guess I could try super gluing it. That might work. Probably work out in a pinch, but I mean, it's a brand new pump. Oh, that's $200. I'm gonna have to buy another pump. That's rough. With every boat maintenance project, there are three main factors to consider: the amount of budget the project consumes, the amount of time you personally spend on the project, and the amount of overall time the project takes to complete. Generally, when something goes wrong, your expectations around at least one of those factors has to change. Since I'm working full-time, I will sometimes choose to accept a higher short-term impact on budget to save time. And that is what I did in this case. I took these three actions. I bought a less expensive pump with NPT compatible attachment points and purchased a number of different NPT fittings that I might need to connect the pump to my existing system. These products would be delivered within a day or two, so that helps with time. For the pump with the broken housing, I found a replacement part on defender.com and put that order on, so if I didn't like the inexpensive pump, I could still revert back to the originally intended replacement pump. This would likely take a week or so to be delivered. I then contacted the Amazon seller of the SureFlow Aqua King 2 pump and let them know I had an issue installing their pump. This might take a week or more, working through the communication cycles and working through the replacement procedure. So this might be the longest timeline to ultimately figure out what to do next on the replacement. Like the first time, I focused on the electrical connections first for the new pump. Then I connected everything onto the inlet side. Then I connected everything on the outlet side. I next worked on mounting the pump to the floor with 4 wood screws. Finally, the time came to turn on the pump. Okay, that's a problem. We're gonna have to turn that off. I had connected all the fittings using a few wraps of Teflon tape over each of the male thread connections, but that was apparently not enough to prevent the fitting connections from dripping all over the place. A quick Google search and a few videos solidified my belief that this was a simple problem to solve and that pipe dope was the answer. So I ordered some pipe dope from Amazon, specifically Rector Seal Blue Fast Cure Pipe Thread Sealant. When I showed up to the boat this time with pipe dope in hand, I feel like I had a very good mindset around the boat maintenance I was about to conduct. I told myself that I was going to approach this leak repair very methodically and patiently, going through each and every fitting connection to ensure each male end had 3 to 4 wraps of Teflon tape and a string of pipe dope applied before screwing the fitting to the thread. In the case of each fitting, I first ensured that I could screw it in tightly so that any elbow connections would be pointing in the correct direction. I then proceeded, fitting by fitting, to wrap 3 to 4 wraps of Teflon tape in a clockwise direction, then applied a small portion of pipe dope, and then screwed the fittings together. I did this for the strainer, for the threaded to barb elbow adapters, and for the valve. With everything connected, I waited a few minutes and then deliberated. Should I wait until my next visit to test the system in order to let the pipe sealant cure, or should I test the system now? Most documentation I read said that you can test the system immediately with this product, and that's what I decided to do. All right, we're hoping for no leaks. Look at that short cycling though, that's not a good thing. That's what we're trying to avoid. And you can see it kind of like doing a little cycle here. But you don't have any leaks down at the pump itself, so that's a good thing. But it still feels like I still got a problem here somewhere. Like most things in life, good news is often accompanied by a caveat. I feel great about fixing the leaks from the fittings, and this new pump looks to be installed correctly for lasting service. The caveat though is that even this new pump is short cycling. Something else must be wrong. Okay, that pump is still cycling here and there, and I think what's going on is the shower's leaking. Let me show you. So I don't know if you can see on the wall, these drops of water. I think the shower here is leaking, and I think that's, see how right here. I think it's no coincidence that the shower head in the bathroom was leaking, and it leaves me wondering, was this the whole problem to begin with, right from the start? I must have missed this in my initial troubleshooting. Maybe I didn't, but maybe I did. It's likely. A $20 part had me going through all of this with the pump replacement. Today we're going to replace a shower head and retest the system. That just stopped, and my pump is not cycling, so that's a good thing. I'm honestly glad though I went through this process, because honestly I feel more competent when it comes to the boat's plumbing, and I'm happy with the pump. It's a clean new pump with renewed shelf life. I also learned a lesson in troubleshooting for plumbing issues. I want to thank my subscribers. Your support means a ton to me, and I appreciate your patronage. Let me know if you want to see more content like this, or would like to see me cover something else. If you stayed until the end, please hit that like button, as others like you will potentially be introduced to this channel if you do. This is Sailor Eric. Thanks for watching.